And like I said, Techtember and Tectober, always a blast. Just wanted to thank you guys for following along. We've dropped like bonus episodes. We've had lots of really well-received episodes here and lots more coming up. This is why we do this. This is like the playoffs of our workflow and like just putting together as much good stuff for you guys to stay up to date as possible. So even though it kind of feels in my head like I'm behind, like I wish my iPhone reviews were all up last week and they'll be right on time when they do drop later this week and the next week. But thank you guys for watching them and for staying up to date with us.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. We're
going.
The crazy thing about the Air being a week and a half late, right? Something we were discussing what we thought it would be view-wise in 24 hours. It was around 3 million views, which was higher than we thought. And that video was a 6 out of 10 out of our last 10 videos.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
That's insane. I mean, the Air is very popular and we know people are watching videos about it. But yeah, the fact that an extremely well-viewed video in like another month, that would be like a 1 out of 10 is a 6 out of 10, which is insane.
Can I say no one has asked me any questions about the Pro? I've gotten so many people texting me and messaging me and asking me about the Air specifically.
So you know what's funny? And maybe the video's not up by the time the pod goes up, but my opening thesis with the Pro review, it's like the other iPhones are all getting all the attention. Like the Air gets the most views on YouTube and the 17 is the one most people should get. It's the best deal. But the one that most people buy is the Pro and the Pro Max by far. Dbrand shared with me some numbers because I wanted to give some concrete evidence of this because I've seen this many, many times, but I just wanted a real breakdown. What % of orders do you think are the Air? From Dbrand's own website. So they offer the same accessory for Air, base 17, 17 Pro, and 17 Pro Max. What fraction of orders do you think are for the Air?
Wait. Blah! Scared you, didn't I? You're going to keep watching this clip in 1 sec, but I just wanted to say you should like and subscribe. All right, back to it.
So is this the percentage of the iPhone sales or total sales on their
iPhone sales? So they offer one accessory for like iPhone skins, for example, and they offer the skin for the 17, the 17 Air, the 17 Pro, and the 17 Pro Max.
I'm going 30%.
30% Air.
I think it's single digits, but only because I think if you're buying an iPhone Air, you are going caseless, skinless. Like you are leaning into the fashion part of it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I'm assuming you're going to tell me Pro is like winning by a landslide, but I also kind of assumed people bought the Pro because of the orange, which is you probably don't want to put a skin on it. Although I don't know how Dbrand's exactly doing the slots now, but you can really do some cool mixing and matching, I'm assuming, with like orange carbon or orange like robot camo or something
That's
like
my
that.
plan.
Yeah. I don't... How much Air?
How much Air?
Percentage? 13%.
5% are Air.
Yeah.
7% is base iPhone 17. 31% is Pro and 56% is Pro Max.
Oh my God.
More than half of the orders are Pro Max and almost 90% are Pro and Pro Max.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but because we have this discussion most years, we're like, "Why the Pro Max is outselling everything? This is crazy." We think it's because in the US, so many people get their phones through carrier deals where you're sort of incentivized to get the most expensive phone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think a lot of people walk in the store and just go, all right, here's all the new iPhones. What's the best one? And they'll probably look at the Air because it's thin, and then they'll also look at the Pro, and they'll go, oh, yeah, the Pro Max is the best one every year. Best battery, best cameras.
I think on top of that is the way carrier like deals are is they're not really telling you the price. They're saying like the difference between these two phones is like $3 a month on your bill, which is obviously leads up to being pretty expensive, but not when you look at it that way. It's like car sales.
Exactly. So I think a lot of people look at the payment and they go, yep, give me the big screen, big camera, big battery. So the Pro Max, 56%, over half. All right. So when I'm reviewing the Pros, there's this interesting balancing act of, okay, these are the most pro iPhones ever, and they're doing things like ProRes RAW and Genlock and things that I only really expect people who are actually doing serious work with the iPhone to take advantage of. And then it's also the most mainstream iPhone ever at the same time. That's hard to review, but that is also what's happening. So that's fun.
We're talking about carriers, and you mentioned Genlock. I would love if there was some guy at a carrier store who, when he's pitching, he's just like, it's got Genlock, and want to see if a single person If there's someone working at like a Verizon store out there, just pepper in Genlock every time you talk about the new iPhone and see if anyone reacts.
That's only when James Cameron walks in.
Yeah, he walks in. He's like, dude, this phone has Genlock. You're going to love it. Yeah. So, yeah, that review, that's all coming out soon. But what else? We wanted to talk about the Air's iFixit, right?
Did you watch the iFixit video on the Air?
It just came out, yesterday or today? So I haven't watched the video yet.
Yeah.
I read the article where they gave it a preliminary 7 out of 10 for repairability. And had a lot of nice things to say about being able to take off the front glass independently from the back glass. When you take off the glass, the parts are rearranged inside, but seem relatively easy to access just the battery or just things you want to replace. So good news on repairability for a very thin, complex device.
Oh, I'm eating my words totally, because every time I talked about this phone, I was like, this will be the least repairable phone ever. And it is equally as repairable as all of the other iPhones, which apparently in the last few years have gotten... solid.
They've gotten better.
Not great.
They're not 10s. Yeah. They're not fair phones, but they're not 2s like they have been in the past.
Yeah. But yeah, like what you mentioned, iFixit was really worried about the dual entry, where you can either just go take the back glass off and get straight to the battery and components, or take the screen off.
Yeah.
By itself, it still has that. Everything is pushed up to the top. The iFixit people said they think the battery actually really helps with the structure and helping it not bend as much by just like being extra support throughout the rest of the phone. And the components up top, I guess they were doing it before the release day somehow, because they said there's a couple screws that were a little tricky, and a couple of the ways all the ribbon cables, because everything's so crammed up right next to the camera, were tough. But they got it out, and then on day one of release, all the disassembly guides were posted by Apple, and it explains how to get all those screws and order of everything. So they were pretty impressed by that. I think it's just, we've seen all the renders of inside the phones, but seeing inside that phone is really cool because of what they did. I mean, it is like USB-C port, Taptic engine takes up like 3% of the bottom. Then just like battery for 80%, and then just like everything really crammed into the last 10
It makes a lot
15.
of sense. And it's funny seeing the things they chose to get rid of, because obviously there's no SIM card tray at the bottom. Yeah. Obviously there's no speakers at the bottom, but there is still the Taptic engine, which is very important, and it is still at the bottom. And I didn't have this thought until after I published my review, but I bet there was a lot of thought about how top heavy it could have been with that strategy, because if most of the heavier components are at the top, I guess the battery's pretty dense,
pretty
but just heavy. Like how would it feel balance wise in the hand? But that obviously worked out just fine. It just worked out really well.
I can say I feel like we kind of confirmed that the USB-C housing is different and tighter, because we have these metal milled stands that we use for the robot shots to put the iPhone on, and none of those, because they're not normal USB-C cables, I guess the tolerances are a bit off, fit in either of the phones. Just a little bit tighter, I guess. But even in the iFixit video, there's some cool stuff about how they're doing the 3D printing on whatever it is. They think it's from a patent from a few years ago that Apple has. And I highly suggest going to watch the video, because it's pretty cool. And at the end, they wind up taking just the frame and bending it, and it only breaks at the antenna point. Yeah. That's like the weak point of the frame with it.
Which is very in line with a lot of previous iPhones. Like if you go all the way back to when the 6 Plus bent, it was mostly at the antenna lines too. But then obviously future iPhones have had to think a lot about that. So yeah, it turns out the interior of the phone is helpful for structure.
One more fun fact from it. The battery in the MagSafe battery pack they're selling is not just similar, it is the exact same battery, to the point where they battery swapped them into the iPhone Air and it booted up.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really cool.
Yeah. So it's not a lazy accessory, but it's like the fact that it's the same exact battery, but then you lose like 40% to wireless charging.
Yeah, that's a cool.
It doesn't actually charge the phone fully.
No, it charges 60%, right?
60-ish%, yeah. Which is kind of a bummer.
That's just cool seeing the number of what you lose. But also, some of Apple's problems sometimes are selling parts. I don't know how hard it is to get a battery, but you can buy a battery. It just comes in a really expensive case to buy it, to replace it down the line. But
so interesting.
I just want to leave this idea here. One day we need to do a bonus episode that's just all the weird patents Apple holds across so many different industries, because they're all out there. We can read them. And in so many other research projects, we found so many weird ones, like in their audio systems. And I don't know. I think this is a good bonus idea.
I think a good bonus episode would be grabbing one of those people whose whole job is to keep an eye on patents to find things in the future, because not only could they then talk about those better than we could, but also I want to know what the job is of just I wake up in the morning, where do I check all these patents in different countries and find the random Apple battery tech in Ireland? That's or groundbreaking.
Dynamic Island in Jamaica.
Yes.
Is that a banger video? Top 10 weirdest Apple patents?
Possibly.
Just craziest things they've patented. I remember when Vision Pro was in the works and still a secret, there's all these weird patents that started making rumors get a little crazy.
I love Hacker News. I don't know if you spend any time there, but there's so many weird forums in Hacker News that end in someone being with people being like, how does this work? How does this feature in an Apple device work? And then someone goes, I found the patent. They reverse engineered a thermometer out of a resistance sensor. And here's the patent for it.
Sick.
The one thing YC gave us that was good.
Oh!
Nice air. Got him. Nice timing. But yeah, that there's a lot of interesting stuff going on with these phones. Stay tuned for the Pro review if it's not out yet. And of course, the 17 review, it's going to be, quote, late because the phones are out. But I think it's still a really interesting phone, and it'll come up later in this episode again. Hey, thanks for watching that clip. I'm guessing, based on what we talked about for that entire episode, that there is some reason to leave a comment about what we talked about and being very angry. So I'd like you to do that. Please hit the like button, but then be very angry in the comments. A little yin and yang.
Yes, subscribe if you agree with us, like if you disagree with us. Hype. Oh no, we can't hype this channel anymore.
No.
Sorry.
We can't?
Hype the main pod.
Did we cross?
For clips, I think.
Oh, clips is too big.
It's too big.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thanks.